Okay, so guys, we're going to start now. Good evening, everybody. I hope we are all doing fine. Yesterday we did presentation design, which we made into a video, and I've been seeing very beautiful, beautiful designs. I almost can't believe some people are making this after just a week plus of learning how to use Canva. It's really very impressive. So today we are going to be um, looking at infographic design. We're going to be looking at infographic design. So infographics majorly they are becoming very popular nowadays. So infographics, what they do majorly, try to present um, complex information in a very simple way. So people use infographics in different ways. One way is can you still hear me? I hope I'm not just talking. I hope somebody can hear. Okay. All
Can
right.
hear you
So
clearly. Your line is not breaking.
all right. So some people use infographic to um for data visualization. For instance, you have a set of complex data you want people to understand. You can use infographic to present the data in a way that is easily readable for anybody, even a layman. Also, people use infographics to present. Maybe you also talk about the topic. You want to talk about the different aspects of that topic, and you want to arrange the information in such a way that it is easy for whoever sees it to digest it. That's infographics are also useful in that kind of situation. So because we have a time frame that we are working with, that we are working with less than an hour, that is including questions and answers. So we are going to be working on um a very simple design. I'm going to drop it on the group as a design we are going to be replicating. So I'm going to start sharing my screen with you. So can everybody see my screen? Can you see my screen?
See your screen.
All right. So we are going to be using there are many different sizes that we can use for an infographic. The good thing about an infographic is that the sizes are not fixed. You can play around with whatever size that you like, depending on what the infographic is for and depending on the purpose. For instance, an academic research poster is an example of a of an infographic. If I want to design an academic research poster, I would either use a regular poster size, research poster now. Sorry, content. If I search for poster, can you still see my screen? If I search for poster, we have like the regular size for posters. Posters usually look like this. Like this is the normal size for posters. But then we are going to be using the Instagram story size for our design. Instagram story. If you can tell the difference, Instagram stories are longer than the regular poster size. So we're going to be using Instagram stories. I'm just going to find you can either work with a blank or use a template. I think I'll prefer working with a blank page so that you can start from scratch. So let's look at the design again. I'm sorry, can you hear me? Some people are saying they cannot hear me. Come on, are you there? Can you hear me? Pascal?
We can hear you clearly. Continue. They will give you
All right.
feedback. You comment chat if they are not hearing you.
All right. So this is the design we are working with. So we are going to start from ground up. We're going to start with the background. So one way to do this background is to work with a gradient background. Also, I'm not sure if anybody has already mentioned this to you. When you are learning to design, it's good to start by replicating um, already made designs. For instance, if someone asks you to design a an event flyer for them, you should try to go to go for go and search for already made event flyer and then try to replicate it to fit what you want to use it for. So I'm looking for a gradient background, not necessarily blue gradient, just any gradient. So a gradient, for people who are not familiar with that, a gradient is um, a mixture of more than one color. So it can either be linear or radial. If it is linear, then the color is following a straight line. It's transitioning from one color to another one, following a straight line. If it's a radial gradient, it's transitioning from one color to another in a circular format. That's what's called a radial gradient. I'm going to use a linear gradient in this situation. Let me see. Let me check this. This is the gradient. I'm going to remove. I'm going to remove all these other things I already present on the page so that I don't need them. Then I'm going to start by changing the color of this. Oh, so this is a photo actually. So there are two ways that we can do this. We can either continue working with this or we change it. But I think I'll prefer changing it so that we can learn how to actually work with gradient. So I'm going to search for. Also, I didn't mention that one of the ways to get the most out of Canva is knowing how to search. So we're going to be searching for gradients rectangle. Yeah, you can see that we have different options to choose from. I'm going to be picking one that involves just two colors. So I'm going to pick this. Then I'm going to turn it this way, pick what I want to use it for. Then I'll stretch it to fill this. Then this is not the color that we have in that background. You can change this color. Um, so the thing about Canva elements is that sometimes you intend to look for an editable element, but you'll be presented with a photo instead. Most of the times, photos are only editable by changing their filter. You can't change the color per se. But if you want to work with more flexible elements, graphic elements are better. I don't know if anybody understands that. I'm going to delete this again because it's not what I want to use. I'm going to be going for graphics specifically. If I use a photo, it's not going to be editable. So apparently the one I picked earlier was a photo. But if I use one that is a graphic element, I'll be able to edit it. Okay, let's just do this. So how will you know if it is editable? You see down here, and here, you see that we have color. Can you see my touch points? Can you see where I'm touching on the screen? I actually tried to enable that before I started the class, but I'm not sure if it is working right now. I need to try to change the color. Okay, we are working with dark blue here, something like navy blue. So I'll change this text to this. I'll come here. I'll pick this color again and then try to change it. Okay, I know this is not exactly what we have in that image, so it's close. So I just will continue working with this because our time is passing. So I like to start with text first, then the other elements. So I'm going to start with the headline text, how to study effectively. So we're going to be adding the text. I know that all of this should not be new by now. We've already had like almost five different designs already. So we know where to click to add elements or to add text to our design. So here I want to add a text, how to study effectively. The font for how to study is different from the rest, so I'm going to. So now, one trick for when you're searching for fonts is that if you notice the font that was used to write how to study is a calligraphy font. It's not the regular font. I'm not sure if we talked about this in the introductory class, but we have different categories of fonts. We have a category called serif fonts. Serif fonts are those fonts that have they have, what do I call them? They look like they have tail. Like let me see if I have an example here. Like this April fat face, or like this Allegria family, this Allegria bold, Allegria medium. You can see that they are different from the next one, Allegria stand. So sans serif fonts are those ones that have smooth edges. They don't have tails or slabs under them. And then we have the calligraphy fonts, which is the type that we are looking for right now. So we are going to search for calligraphy. The particular fonts used in that design was Amsterdam. But we have different Amsterdam fonts actually. We have, I think we have Amsterdam First, Amsterdam Second, Third, and one other one. Let me change the color of this face so we can see what we are working with. This doesn't look like exactly what's in the picture, but then it's close. Another thing is when you're looking for this kind of font, you can either search for calligraphy or script. Let me try script. Script, not the name of the font, but like the design of the font, kind of font. So let's check this. Looks like it was not exactly. I'm looking for something that is very close to what we have in the templates we are working with. Hey, this is the Amsterdam family I was talking about. We have Amsterdam 4. Let's see the six like this. It doesn't look like this. I think we should just continue with that. So I'm going to reduce distance. And then I'm going to add another text. How to study effectively. So I'm going to change the font of this too. The font used in the original design is a serif font. So I'm going to look for a serif font that looks close to that. Something is the font that looks thick. Let's try it. So what we have in our design list folder. This particular font does not have a bold version of it. So let's try another one. I hope you are following. I hope nobody is lost yet. Let's try this. Okay, so this looks like this. So let's bring this in. All right, let's go. So 7 easy. We're going to search for a shape to place under that text. So under shapes, we're going to have 20 different suggestions. This looks like what we are looking for. Let's change the color to green. Not this kind of green. So we're going to make it brighter. So this is a little bit deeper than what 7 is. I'm going to duplicate this right. So 7 is. So for what we have in our design, this one is all capital letters. So I'm going to come here to format. This particular, this button that has a small letter A and a big letter E is for changing, is for switching between lowercase and uppercase. So if I click it, it's going to change all of the text to uppercase. So I'm going to put this here. This looks like it's not exactly, it's too big or too far. Seven is. But this looks like it's taking too much space. So I'm going to reduce the size. Do you know how to select multiple elements already? I need an answer from somebody. Has it been mentioned in class how to select multiple elements? Hello? Can anybody hear me? Okay, all right. Hey, you can unmute yourself and answer me so that I will not have to be going back to the chat to check what you're doing. So, I want to reduce the size of this. Seven is that's centralized. And then now we are going to go on um, to the next part of the design. First, I'm going to try to arrange all of these rectangles. That is the way to work quickly. So I'm going to do again. We're still under shapes. So that makes it easy. I'm looking for a rounded rectangle. So I'm going to pick this. As you can see, the edges are rounded. It's different from let me see the one that is sharp. Different from this one that has sharp edges. They are different. This is the one I want to use. So I'm going to delete this. So this I'm going to try to adjust it to fit what I want. So sometimes when you are working on a design and you need to edit smaller details of a particular element, what you can do is zoom in into the design. It makes it easier to edit smaller parts of the design. So this is what I'm going to do. We have 7 steps, right? So I'm going to do this. And I'm going to change the color. Change the color to this, something like this, right? And then I don't want to centralize it manually. I want to go to this route and this come here and just enter. Okay. Then can you still hear me? Okay. So we have 7 steps. But there's something I'm going to do. I'm going to try to finish with the first one. Then we'll duplicate to make it easier to work on the next ones. So the first one says plan and prioritize, set the goals. So actually this color looks more pink than something like this. Yeah, so I'm going to come here to add text. Text. First, let's number it. So I'm going to duplicate this. Then change it to a number. Okay. I'm going to put this here. And then plan and prioritize. And I'm going to add a subject. Plan and prioritize. This looks big. Let's check the font size. This is 52. I think we should be able to do 42. Okay. Let's check the font size. I'm going to change this to still doesn't look like what I want. So I'm going to change to 64. Okay, this looks better. Plan and prioritize. Set the goals. And I'm going to reduce the size. I hope I'm not walking too fast. Okay, so let's check. Does this look like it? Oh, it does. So we are going to duplicate this. Let's select multiples. I could select everything. Everything. Then we are going to duplicate. I'm going to save my rating 50, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the good thing with Canva is when you are duplicating elements, after you have duplicated the first one and you shift it to a position, Canva tries to measure how far away from the initial elements you have moved the new elements. And then for subsequent duplications, that is if you have not dropped your initial selection. For subsequent duplications, it tries to conform to the initial one that you did. So now we're going to try to edit this one. This is 2. Number 2 says no mobile phone, and it does not have this. So what is no mobile phone? Okay. Number 3 says wake up earlier. I hope nobody is lost. Then number 4 says hardest task first. 4. I hope you can still hear me clearly. And number 5 says 40-minute study session. 5. Apparently, this cannot fit into the rectangle. So we're going to change the size, reduce it a little bit, and then see if it can now fit. Yes, it can. And then number 6 says look after yourself. Okay, so from the design we are working with, all of these rectangles do not have the same size. Apparently, the sizes are dependent on the content. So all of these ones are supposed to be slimmer. So we are going to slim fit them now. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we lost you, Zainab. We can't hear you. Or is it from my side only?
Okay, all right. So then we're going to shift. Then, because the one we are trying to do now is wider than the rest, so we have to make adjustments to let it fit.
No, we can't hear you, or you're not talking right now.
Okay. Let's move this also. So number 6 says look after yourself. And number 6 is wider because it has much more content compared to the rest. You're still going to have to shift it to pick up it. So the first item says healthy eating, cleaning up, and enough sleep. Healthy eating, cleaning up, enough sleep. So I'm going to align this like this. And then I'm going to reduce the space. Okay. And then the font size. I want this to 4. And then I can push this. Okay. We still have number 7. Plan and prioritize. I'm shifting everything up. I'm selecting everything. Then I'm going to shift it now. You may still have to reduce the size. But then let's see if number 7 is going to fit in. So I'm going to put this and bring this here. And then choose number 7. Number 7 says plan and prioritize. I thought that was the first one. No, you have to write it again. Plan and prioritize. There's something wrong with this spelling. Okay, okay. So what's missing? Looks like the size we are using is way smaller than the size in the original design. But then let's try to see what we can do. We have this here, this pencil case up here, and then the stack of books, the apple and all that stuff. Let's try to add those. So I'm going to try to add elements. Element. I'm going to try. Let's try pencil case. Let's go to graphics so that we can get something that is editable. Okay, this looks like what we have there. Not exactly it, but then it looks like it. So I think I cannot do that. And then at the bottom, we have another pencil pot and a stack of books. Let's see if we can still find that. So, it looks like we can work with this. Yeah. And then we had another pencil case. Pencil. Let's search for pencil pots. If there's anything called a pencil pot. Apparently there is. But they are all page. I want to work with only 3 elements so that nobody will say they can only work with 3 elements. Pencil case. Can anybody hear me? Can you still hear me? Just let me know if you can still hear me.
Yes, we can.
Let me see. I think I'm just going to use this one again. Okay, I've not used it before. Okay, so we have some things in the background. The thing with backgrounds is that you can always work with anything that you like, that you feel like adding. So let's just put some elements and search for something that we can use to make our background look interesting. So this is what I usually do. I usually search for elements. So it just brings random elements. Random ones, as you can see. Really random ones. Just anything. Let me use this. I'm going to change the colors to white, and then this to red, and then this to green, and then I'm going to enlarge it, put it here, and then I'm going to send it to the back. And then I'm going to reduce the transparency so that it does not overshadow our original design. I'm going to increase it. And then I want to look for something else to put up there. Let's use um, I'm looking for something that is not too dull, but at the same time can work with what we are doing. Should we use this? No. Let's look for something else. I'm going to send to the back, backward, okay, come forward, and then reduce the transparency. So it's just there, it's there, like it's adding character to the design, but then it's not overshadowing the original message. Need to change this manually to 10. Okay. So does this look good? Let me see what you are saying in the chat section. Okay, so now at this point, does anybody have any questions? Questions, please. Okay, let me check from. Can you still hear me? So somebody here asked, how did you centralize without using the manual means? Okay, let me go back and show that. So for any elements that you are working with in a Canva design, whether text or maybe an image or just irregular graphic elements, when you are moving them, there's this thing that Canva does. It shows you the position of that thing in relation to the rest of the elements on the page. I mean, relative to the rest of the elements on the page. You can see here, Right now, these elements that I'm moving, Canva is showing me that, yeah, it's showing me the position of this thing relative to effectively. So if I bring it here, as I'm moving it towards the middle of the page, I'll get to a point where it will show me that it is aligning to the middle of the page. It may not be something that you get at first try, but if you go front and back, when you recognize that you are trying to align it to the center, you keep looking out for that line. This is the line now. Can you see? Can everybody see? This is the line now. I lost it again. Somewhere here, here, here. So, and then I'll release it and leave it there. That's how to centralize. Okay, if I'm working with other things that I don't want to centralize, maybe I have some elements, I want to put them to the side, but I want to centralize them. For instance, this one and this one. I don't want them to necessarily be in the middle of the page, but I want to align 7 easy tips and the rectangle background under it. So I'm going to come here. Let me shift both of them. I want to select it. So I want to shift them here. Okay, so if for instance this was maybe somewhere like this, and I want to align it to the center of this. As I'm moving it, it will be showing me the relative position. So I want to align it to the center first, center like this. And then I want to align it to the vertical center too. Then I'll move up and down. It will get to a point where it will show me the line where it is at the exact center. Can you see right now? So it's at the exact center. That is where the vertical line crosses the horizontal line. So I'm going to drop it here. So does anybody have any other questions? Let me check the group. How were you able to curve the corner radius of the rectangle? Maybe this person was not in the chat when I picked the rectangle. I did not curve the corner radius. I used a rectangle that had a corner radius. So I said I specifically picked two different kinds of rectangle when I was starting with the rectangle design. When you come here and you search for shapes, you can go this way or the other way. The first way is this: you search for shapes. Under shapes, it will bring many different kinds of shapes for you. This particular rectangle square here is the one that is sharp edged, and then there's another one here that is rounded. This one, you see, rounded square. So this is the one that I picked, and I adjusted it to fit what I want to do. Let me check what other question. We are running out of time. The rectangles cannot go past a particular width. I'm trying to make it smaller, but it is not going. That is why I said that when you are working on a design and you want to work on smaller details of the design, for instance, let me try to do this now. Let me duplicate this, okay? Let me change the color so you can see what I'm working with. Now I want to change the size of this. If I do like, okay, sorry. If I do this, it gets to a point. If I do this, no, this is what I want to do. If I do this, okay, maybe it gets to a point where it can no longer go. So what you can do is that you zoom in. When you zoom in, you are able to work on smaller details of the design. You can increase the width, you can reduce it, you can increase it this way. When you zoom in, you can work on smaller details of a particular elements. Then let me check. How can one rotate elements when using a phone? I'm actually using a phone for this design. So how can you rotate elements? if, for instance, this 7 easy tips, there are 2 ways. Let's say, for instance, let me work with this. I want to rotate this. I can either go to this flip. I want to flip vertical, or I want to flip horizontal. That's I want to turn from right to left, or flip vertical. I want to turn from up to down. Or if I don't want to do that, I can come here, do this. That is how to rotate. When you click on an element, it shows you the um the nudge sign. That is the one that you can use to move the element around on the page, and also the rotate sign. That's the one that has 2 curved arrows. So that one I can use it to rotate any element in any direction that I want. So I hope that answers your question. Then, how did you change the colors in elements you sent to the back? What paper type did you select to start the design? I said we can use many different sizes. I explained in the beginning. You can either use regular poster size, or you can use Instagram story size, or you can use a custom size. Just make sure that the length is longer than the width. But in this particular design that we are working on, I used Instagram story size. How did you change the colors in the elements you sent to the back? The one that you reduced the transparency. As soon as you pick the element, let me send it back forward and then change the color so you can see. I'm going to bring it forward. And then I'm going to increase the transparency back so you can see it. Now I want to change the color. The color is here. This is the color. That is what I'm clicking on right now. When you click on it, it's going to bring you a panel where you can change the color to whatever you like. So this is the color that I pick. Then I'm going to send it to the back, to the back of that element. And then I'm going to reduce the transparency. I can either reduce it manually or just come here and input a figure. I want it to be at 10. This is good. We can see it, but at the same time, it's not overshadowing the essence of the design. How do you zoom in with phone? You pinch with 2 fingers and widen. Pinch with 2 fingers and widen. You can, most of the time I use my thumb and my middle finger. You put both fingers on the screen at the same time. I don't know if you can see my touch points. You put both fingers on the screen at the same time, and then you zoom. Like the way you zoom images. Sure, you people don't zoom images on Instagram. I know people do that. So those of us that like apropos, you want to see everything that is inside the picture. You know how to zoom. You should know how to zoom. How you zoom images, that's how you zoom into a design. Let me see. Yeah, 7 o'clock on dots. I think that's all of the questions that I've gotten. What process do you use to set Instagram page when you want to design? It's not an Instagram post. Yes, I use the Instagram stories size. So when you get to the home page, you just search for Instagram stories, and you pick either a blank page or an existing template. If that is all of the questions that we have, you people don't know what is apropos. Apropos is amiable now. Amiable. People that want to know everything. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now, and I'm going to drop our assignments in a moment. I hope we have no more questions and everybody understands what we did today.